Hi everybody, now we are getting to the exciting part, making interactive programs. What you see here in front of you on the screen is a simple calculation program that adds two integers together. It prompts a user for their name, and then it prints it out to the console. Now this goes more in depth inside your PowerPoint. Again, the subject, I find it's better to have a better example than it is to read words on the screen. So as you can see, we have integer data types with no value assigned to them. So we have num1, num2, and then sum. And then we have a string username, and if we can remember from the previous lecture, a string is a bunch of characters which we use for our words and our sentences for their variable type. Now this is the interactive user prompts, and I believe it was week 1 that we went over the difference between console.write and the console.write line. So if we can remember, the console.write line will automatically put in a new line after the string is printed to the screen. Console.write does not, so what will happen is right here when we push play, the cursor will be placed. So it will say, welcome to the add two numbers program, and remember from our escape sequences, this is going to add a new line, and then it's going to state, please type your first name. And over down here we have our username, which is our string variable, and then we have a console.readline, which we are finally actually seeing the use of this method. So what console.readline is it takes in whatever the user types inside the console screen, and after the enter button or return button is pressed, it saves that character string input to the variable before it. And so now we go to our next one, which is our integer questions. Console.write, so this is again, we didn't make a new line for this one. Please type a number and then press enter. And then what happens is, if we remember, everything that is read in by user inputs comes in as a string or a character value. Actually, it all comes in as character value one by one, and then it's all pasted together as a string. So what we have to do is convert. So what we do, because we're taking an integer with only 32 bytes, so there are different size integers that if you look inside the PowerPoint, you can see all the conversion charts. We're not going to be working with decimals. We could change this here to a double or a float, which we can do decimals, but just to we keep it simplistic. For this example, I'm just going to use an integer. So that means it will not take in any values that have a decimal. So we have to take this string value that we're reading in here, and we have to convert it to an integer 32 or an integer 32 bytes. And it saves it to this number1 variable. And again, after we push enter, it's going to go to the next line, and it's going to write, please type another number and then press enter. So again, we grab the string that's being pulled from the user input, it is converting it to an integer, and then it's saving it to our integer variable, num2. At the bottom, oh, get out of here. At the bottom, we have integer sum, which again we declared up here, equals num1 plus num2, which came from our user input, so whatever numbers we decided, and it adds them. Here we're doing console.writeLine. We're entering a new line. We're grabbing our reference variables, which are over here, username, num1, num2, sum, which we have used quite a bit now. And we are saying new line, username. You wanted to add whatever number I asked you first, and then whatever number I asked you second, and the sum, the sum of these numbers is 3. Sum, which is over here, which we calculate right here. And then we do another console.readline. Obviously this time we're not getting user input from it, but what this is doing is stopping it from the console flashing off the screen. So let's go ahead and give this a try. So click start. Okay, so let's walk through this again. So we have welcome to the add two numbers program. Here we go, console.write, welcome to the add two number program. We have it escaping using the \n to the new line. Please type your first name. And because we didn't use write line, everything's still on the same line. So I am going to type in my first name, Nikki. I click enter, which then tells the compiler to go to the next line and save my name, Nikki, to the string variable username. Next we have, please type a number and then press enter. So I'm going to type in 13. I click enter and it takes 13, reads it in as a string character value. It then converts it to an integer, 32 byte, and saves it to the num1 integer value. Please type another number and then press enter. So this time I'm going to push 18, enter, and it's going to do the same thing. It is going to type another, it's going to save the string value, convert it to integer, and store it for the number 2 integer variable. Okay. Oops. So now we have our output. Nikki, which we have here, we did a new line, so it gives us a little space. Our representation of username over here. You wanted to add 13 plus 18. The sum of these numbers is 31. And then of course our console.readline. I'm going to store all of these programs in a folder that you'll see under Module 3 so that you can play around with them and change them and use them as a reference. Again, feel free to reach out for me. Please review your PowerPoints. There is information in there that I do not go over in here, and it's going to be beneficial because you're going to see them on quizzes and you're going to see it on your midterm.